guys, welcome to part 3 of this tutorial. Now here I am sitting down in my chair actually getting ready to paint my gun. Now to start off, the paints we're going to be using is a black and a silver. That's pretty much all you need for the majority of the UNSC weapons. Because we're doing the assault rifle, all I specifically do need is a black and silver. That will give us the color variations from black to grey to silver. Now what I'm going to start off doing is just giving it a full-on black undercoat. Now what I'm using here is just an outside, what do you call it? An exterior paint. So this is used for painting concrete or walls, picket fences, that kind of stuff. The reason I'm doing this is because it's not an acidic base. It is completely a low sheen kind of acrylic kind of paint, which means it's not going to leave any permeations or any marks or any kind of thing that will melt the styrofoam. So, because this is all sanded off nicely, I don't want to damage anything that would make it take away its overall aesthetic. So we're going to just coat it with a black undercoat. So we're just going to go into that and you'll see it once it's undercoated. Alright, hey guys, now we've painted the gun with a matte black, which is the base coat for any of our guns that we're wanting to do, just so that we have all that blue and writing out of the way, so when we do go over it with the silvers and the greys, we won't see any of that. All that will come up is a black background, which is pretty much what you want in a gun, isn't it? You don't want to have blue styrofoam parts under it. So now that we've done this and it's coated in black, we're going to go and paint some silver coating on it to really bring out the fine details. So we'll do that now. Alright, so I've taken the front, I don't know what you call it, the top armament or whatever, and I've got it with a silvery grey. Now unlike my older assault rifle, I've decided to make this one look like a realistic gun, so pretty much as realistic as it would if it was mass produced by the army or whatever. So the other one I actually attempted to make it look like the game, but now I'm going to make it look as if it was a full-on metal gun. So I've gone with a more realistic grey rather than a full-on silver. Although I do kind of like that silver, but we'll see how this turns out. I can always add extra bits of silver onto it later to see how that works. So all I've done is just not sprayed, painted this on normally. Pretty much always going in one direction, otherwise you're going to end up with all these splotch marks and stuff. Actually, I think I've done one there. Yeah, I have. So I've used sellotape here. Sorry, not sellotape, masking tape. The reason I've used masking tape is that it doesn't really hurt the styrofoam, unlike sellotape. It protects the styrofoam as well, and it's just cheaper. So I've laid that across both sides just to stop it from hitting this black part here. So it gives us a nice fine line. So I recommend doing that. That is a good way. Now we're going to just go and do some of these parts that distinguish the black from the greys to the silvers. Alright, hey guys, now I've done the, what do you call it, grey / silver washover tint, and now we're going to be applying the black underbase. Now for the assault rifle, of course you want the silver, grey, and then the black. So that's easy enough because we've done a black undercoat. All we need to do is go over and just do a second coating. I am going to be adding a tiny bit of silver tint to it just to allow it to give it the metallic look we're having. Already you can see that this bottom gun is far nicer than the top one. Alright, so now I've just painted it all black. Now I just want to take off all the masking tape before it actually sets. The reason why I'm doing that is because masking tape will actually heat up if you're putting it out in the sun like I'm about to allow this to dry. And when you peel it off, the last thing you want is to actually peel off a bit of the color, because then you might have to go back and remix the colors and you'll never always get it the same. So there always will be a difference between the color you overput to kind of correct it to the original. So I always just take off carefully the masking tape straight after I've painted it, and as you can see, nothing was pulled off. That way the gun looks nice and you get that beautiful black straight line. Now of course this is still wet, so it'll look much better when it's dry, but yeah, always take these off straight away because it doesn't really make any difference paint wise. This is still a tiny bit wet, just kind of make sure you don't get it on the gun itself. If you do, get like a wet cloth, not your parents' best cloth. Just get a wet cloth and slowly dab it to kind of just take the worst out of it. But otherwise it should be pretty easy. And just be careful not to touch that, of course, because that's the last thing you'll want, to get black paint on your fingers and then rub it over your gun that you've just spent quite some time making and painting. Now always just take really care, honestly, I can't stress this enough. You just don't want any paint coming off. Just take it very carefully. Perfect. So there we go. Nice black coat done. I will go over and do it with some scratch marks, but that will all happen later on. We'll do all the weathering and whatnot. This is just the basic underpaint for it. I just got some there. See, if you get black paint on you, just make sure you don't touch the gun again, because that will leave a mark. So yeah, we'll go do weathering as soon as I can. Alright guys, now what we're going to be doing is just touching up the finer details that are on this gun. As we can see, we've got these two kind of indents there and one there, which is the slider for the cocking device. Now, we're just going to be painting them black. When you're working with fine detail, you don't want to be using a large brush, as you probably would know. So always think the size and then half the size. So I'm using a brush about this big and a tiny little one just to get finer details up in these crevices and areas. You can't expect to paint with something that large. These ones are great for doing the full-on paints and slides of the actual surface of the gun, but when you're doing small indents like these kind of things, you do need a smaller brush. The way I take it, like I said, is half the actual weight of what you're trying to do, and that's a good size. So I'll paint that, and pretty much what it will look like in the end is, let me just straighten that up. That. Nice detail, and it comes out quite nicely. That's still drying, so it is a bit wet at the moment, but that's what we're going to do at the moment. Alright, hey guys, now I apologise, I actually did not film this detail part when I was doing it here on the assault rifle. But pretty much what we're wanting to achieve is just this nice kind of silver look to really give it bring out those edges and give it far more detail and make it look really stunning on the camera. Just to make it look a bit more metallic and shiny. Now to do that, it is very easy. What we're wanting is, you've got your standard brush, which is nice and smooth, which you've been using to paint. And now you're wanting an older brush, which you've used to paint before, but the bristles are absolutely scratchy, hard, and solid. Why do we want them like that? Because exactly for those two reasons, they're scratchy. With metal, obviously it gets scratched, it doesn't get smooth, so you want it to get these like really dark edges on it. Now to do that, because I've obviously done it, I'm just going to quickly do it on my DMR, because this could do with some extras. So just kind of bristle it up a bit, get your silver paint. It doesn't take much. Just put it onto some paper or something, because we're going to need it to kind of pick you up. Just get on, just kind of get it on the brush a bit. Now what you'll see is when you apply it, it instantly starts coming out, sorry, and really bring out those edges, and you can start seeing it's really starting to look nice. And if you've got a harder bristles, the scratches will turn out much nicer. And you just want to keep on getting some and applying it over the gun in total until you've really maxed it out and brung out some of those really high details. It looks far more effective on edges. I recommend doing them there. But overall, just have some fun with it, and you'll know how much you want to use, whether you want it to be completely battle worn or at some level of cleanness, I suppose. But it does look cool. I honestly suggest doing that little silver touch, because it makes it look far more interesting. So that's it, guys. That's my 3-stage part tutorials. If you do have any other questions, check out my Facebook page, which you can get the link at the end or below, and ask me them there. I hope you enjoyed these. I'm sure there's some questions definitely that you guys are still wanting to know, but yeah, just get in contact with me. My name is Andrew Cook. This is the Frontline Trooper. These are my 3 parts. Thank you very much.